we are so psycho about every animal that we want to know if every animal has eaten, peed, pooped, what has happened, every single thing. So it goes back 15-20 years when I actually started my journey in film production with Prahlad Kakkar. And that was like a life school that just taught me that you can never say never, and there was like you could never say no, you just had to figure things out, you just had to get shit done. So I think that was a very strong foundation for having that attitude. And then I got into yoga with Guruji BKS Iyengar, which is again very structured, it's very logical, it's all about the discipline. So I think that it was my years of experience in production, in yoga, teaching, all of that is what then carried through to the center and to the operations. Because without all of that, I don't think I would have been able to put this in the way we have.
When I visited the center, I was so pleasantly surprised because I come from like a corporate background and organization is a big thing, and I'm used to that in the corporate world, but not in NGOs. And I've visited a lot of them before, and for good reasons. There's so less resources, it's always so hectic, so many animals, and you're dealing with so much sort of trauma. But I mean, the center is so well organized, all those protocols and stuff like that. I mean, I was like, oh my god, is this a corporate, is this an NGO? And I was like, it was amazing.
It evolved into that because it actually started at home, right? So I guess we just set that all up so that going forward,
we can sleep in peace.
To know that everything is being taken care of. No animal is, being neglected or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I did see people taking pictures of poop, and I'm like,
So we closely monitor. I mean, I still every day go through all the groups to see if there's anything, and these are the little indicators which get missed out.
Can you tell more about your the parts that you said, okay, I'm going to handle this completely, how she's supposed to handle the operations because she has more experience there. So what about you?
So basically we would have ripped each other's hair out if we had continued to work together, because we are both very strong women, and obviously her skill lies in operations, and it just naturally, I think, she's so good with handling of cats, for example. It's a skill and it came to her innately, So by default, she's more that person who likes to be hands-on, particular about every single thing. And I think by default, I'm the other type of person. I'm more big picture, she's more structure.
What does big picture consist of in
money? It's not funny.
Bitches.
It's money.
Yeah.
I mean, without the money, without the ability to... So when you want to get money, you have to show them what you're going to give them. So you need to have a plan that has impact, that has value, that's going to do good to the community. So you have to create these plans, and then on the basis of these plans you get funding, and that's when she can execute all these plans.
I think we have just been able to channelize our strengths very correctly, because I absolutely cannot do what she does. That's not my thing. So I'm so glad that we have this teamwork where we get to focus on what we are good at. So we can do
complement
much
each other.
better.
That way we are blessed, because it's two of us and we know that no matter what, we've got each other's backs.
A big difference that I have noticed, in AFA is how visionary you guys have been, so far. Like whether it's, learning from the largest organizations, from all over the world, trying to implement processes and, that work globally, international best practices, and also not taking in too many animals. When we also, this picture that the common man on ground has about an NGO or an animal sanctuary or, anything to do with animal welfare is there'll be like hundreds of dogs, thousands of dogs in one place, all very well taken care of, but we expect to see. And that was also a difference that I saw at AFA.
Yeah. You can answer that.
So, for us, actually, from the start, our work has been from the start that if either an animal is coming in for sterilization or if it's coming in for rescue, rehabilitation, but the final point is rehoming or letting that animal go back into its natural environment. So that happens in the case of sterilization. We focus a lot on adoptions because that is when we feel that the journey or the cycle is actually complete, is when that animal, if it can't go back to the streets, at least has the comfort of a home. So we do press a lot on getting our animals rehomed, because also a big part is that we never ever want to become hoarders.
And I respect all these sanctuaries that have a large number of animals, but then those animals are disabled. They are absolutely not able to make it on the streets. They are blind. And if those sort of sanctuaries have hundreds of animals, I understand. But to have healthy dogs, young middle-aged dogs just sitting there, I think it's not happening. That dog deserves better.
Yeah.
You know?
So the more we have the community starting to support us in our work, we will be able to do a lot more work. A lot of times puppies come in very small, hip broken, fractured. By the time they grow up and they become 3-4 months old, we can't put them back on the street. Nobody wants to adopt them because they have a little bit of a limp. So these kind of things become a little difficult, when it would be really grateful if the community and the people would just step in to take that load a little bit off us so we can continue more work.
Yeah, I think that in general we've had more of a positive response when it comes to people living in Goa, whether they are native or they are from outside. People are compassionate. And I think that Goa dogs are actually quite happy dogs. Most of them, you know. It's just that they shouldn't be increasing at the speed at which they are increasing, because that's when anybody will get frustrated. If there are 20 dogs barking outside your house all night, even I would get upset, you know. And I think that balance shouldn't tip, because in general people are very accommodating to animals in Goa. Everyone has a dog or a cat who has adopted them if they haven't adopted them.
What the possibilities are.
I can't see Siddhi. I can't see that. Like, can I see Siddhi?
It might be covering her face.
So actually this whole even reaching the awareness and understanding of how important community engagement has been a journey for us, where we again reached the point where we realized that just an NGO single-handedly cannot keep doing the work. We need the community to step in. So we are doing that at various levels, going and having small group discussions in communities, educating them, listening to, hearing out their problems, what are their issues. From that, working in schools, going and doing workshops on dog behavior, educating the kids.
The thing about community engagement is that the way it's done is what we are redefining. It's one thing to go to schools and do workshops, but it's one thing to work with psychology and actually resolve the conflict. So I'll give you an example. There was family whose dog they picked up for sterilization. It was a free roaming dog on the streets. But when we went to return that dog, they almost came to kill us because they wondered where we had taken their dog. And they would have never given us that dog for sterilization had they seen that van that day. They loved that dog. It's not that they didn't love, they were scared to send that dog because they thought that sterilization kills.
They had a bad experience. So what also normally happens in the villages is what we've noticed is that they have had a bad experience in the past because they don't have any understanding of all these medical things. So because of a bad experience with another van coming, picking up the dog passing away, that bad experience is what triggered that whole outburst. And the community engagement head who went and resolved the issue, resolved it with understanding and connecting with that person. Why was that aggression? Not that there was just hostility, but where it actually came from, and then worked through that. And then the other day we went and met them, and it was all great. There was no problem
They
at all.
even visited the center. So when you don't resolve these conflicts is when it sparks more hatred between even humans. Like they say, cruelty to animals means that person is probably cruel to a human also.
What's the next step for AFA?
We definitely want to build Goa's first 24-hour multi-specialty hospital for street animals and community animals. I think that Goa really needs that, but we don't want to build something so large that is not sustainable. And I think in line with our whole community philosophy, we want to decentralize. So we don't want to become center heavy. So what we want is, we want many thousands of angels for animals in every community. We want mobile vans that go out. We want these animal feeders, animal lovers to feel supported by us. Our van is there, our doctor is there. And each one needs to take care of their animals on their street. And if everyone just takes care of those 4-5, we are sorted. And if there is a case that really needs admission, obviously we're there as a hospital. So our vision is to decentralize, make the community independent, and empower them to be able to take action with an animal even if Angels for Animals is shut down. Tomorrow my mobile van may not be there, there'll be another vet, but they'll at least know how to help that animal. So while we send out our mobile units, we will be working with the communities deeply to upskill, empower, educate for each of these communities to become independent. Transport nahi hai, ye lo tempo ka number. He's agreed to carry animals. You just put your animal in this tempo, take it to a vet. So if 80% of the cases are handled on site, we don't need a large hospital with 1,000 beds. Because it's all now sustaining and decentralized.
And the last question. I still need to know what's the origin story.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think I've gone to their place, seen a whole shelter, cages and cats and whatever. I said, oh, this is the animal shelter. I want to come and have a look.
She's done a tour of the whole
I've
house.
done a
She used to
tour
give a
of.
tour of the house. I was telling her that, and I was like, oh my god, you used to give a tour of our house.
Yeah,
Which was like a shelter.
I thought that was the origin.
No, the origin was that we moved to Goa in 2016, and in 2017, so when I moved to Goa, I wanted to retire and chill on the beach, and I thought I'm super successful. And 2017, a year in, on my birthday at midnight, my husband wakes me up and says, baby, let's have a drink. I don't like to celebrate birthdays. And at 10 to 12, I hear this on the door. And I thought he's invited friends. And I got pissed off saying, I don't like to celebrate. He's like, no baby, no friends. Opened the door, in came Moon.
It was actually.
It was my Moon, this little puppy, dirty, wet, full covered in cement, banging on my door at 10 to 12 on my birthday. And that was God saying, here, this is your gift. And I wasn't prepared, okay? I was like, no way, I don't want this responsibility. Next morning I went looking around for this puppy's mother, couldn't find the mother, found out some NGOs, called up NGOs, tried to get it adopted, figured there's a group on Facebook, posted there. Boss, she wasn't going anywhere. She had come for me. And I remember I had a very severe throat infection because I was struggling with even accepting her. I couldn't even communicate that I don't want her and I'm not ready for a dog. And I couldn't dump her and I couldn't abandon her and I couldn't get rid of her. And the day after, maybe 3 weeks of trying, I realized that this is for me. And the next day my throat infection had gone, and when I accepted that she has come for me is when my life changed. That was 11:45. Who knocks? Most people I was on the road, I saw this puppy and picked it up. She has banged on my door, boss, and said, I've arrived. Saburi's story is damn cute.
I mean, mine actually started a little bit when I was younger, which I forgot about. Like, I had rescued a distemper puppy when I was maybe 8 or 10 years old, and I didn't even know what distemper was, and I was caring for that puppy, and then the building started making noise because the puppy was crying and yelping, and I remember going to the Bombay government, whatever place, and leaving the puppy there. Next day I've gone to meet the puppy. Obviously they've euthanized the puppy. And that just completely shattered me because I went the next day and the puppy wasn't there. So I was very traumatized. And then I remember rescuing some kittens, and then life went on because obviously in cities, you know, it's very different. So growing up, completely forgot about everything. Got into yoga because again I was always wanting to not like help. It's not I mean, I'm helping myself more than anything else, but yeah, there was some sort of thing which was always there, kind of, which went into the human angle for 15 years. And then coming to Goa is when that everything started connecting back from childhood, which I had completely forgotten about. I had forgotten about it because it was like so long back. And then it was, I think, 2017, December 30th. She comes, and I used to live, I had my yoga shala, really nice. I used to live alone, best life, no animals in the house, single, amazing. She comes on December 30th with this small white thing. She literally came in on a little basket and she just gave it to me and she left.
I had to go party. It was 31st December, and my moon started chasing this kitten
Outside where they were
in my
living.
complex. So it was Moon who brought attention to this kitten, and this kitten was apparently living in one car ka bonnet. So then Sid is like, baby, there's one kitten outside. I was like, I cannot have another pet.
Yeah.
Please go dump this
She's
kitten.
come and dumped it on me, and I have no clue about cats, nothing. Like, oh, okay. Took it in and then figured it out, and she just changed my life. Like, changed my life means I became, stopped teaching, only be like went crazy for cats. Just like my whole life just changed, and everything was just for them. So yeah, that's our start. I mean, that's my Saburi. This is my moon, and this is my soul. So they have really kind of become part of us.
Yeah. You know, I read somewhere once something to the effect which says that do not ignore the signs that keep coming back to you. They are completely connected to your purpose.
I mean, and she was, I didn't know anything about cats. She was a wild, still she's a wild cat. Just wanted to be out everywhere, and we used to be roaming around behind her, and she taught me to just let go, have faith, you know, just surrender. She taught me how to really surrender because every time she went out, I didn't know whether she was going to come back.
My mum named her Saburi because it's Shraddha and Saburi, which is the Sai Baba slogan.
2 points.
Faith, Shraddha is faith, and Saburi is patience.
Infinite patience.
Which you need
Yeah.
to run
Infinite
this.
patience. So Shraddha
And
and
faith.
Saburi.
You,
Yeah.
Pessimism doesn't work. You have to have
Have
faith.
to have, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know anything, but we just have that faith and we just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes completely against logic, but then that's magic.
You know, we are grateful that we can do this, you know. Really, even to have the opportunity to be able to, like, we are supported by our family, our friends, who just, they are like, you guys want to do this, do it. And we are truly blessed to have that.
Yeah. That's what now, when you find your calling, everything lines up. That's the liberation of finding your purpose. You see how actually effortless it is, and that's what's actually so funny because everyone thinks that it's very hard and difficult, which operationally and day to day and all of that it may be. But I cannot tell you how effortless it is. That I can eat it, breathe it, sleep it, live it, do it all, and it's the only space I want to be.